Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Journey into the Present, Season 2, Episode 2. I've been waiting for the perfect moment to tape this, waiting to be home in the studio, have everything perfectly set up. And then I remembered there's no better time to do things that you want to do than right now, because there is no tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. All we ever have is the present. So I'm taping this now from my phone, from my fiance's house. And she was gracious enough to let me use her office to do this. And today's message, today's episode, is really going to be around sustaining presence. And I'm going to share with you, four main things that I do to help try to stay present. And as you've listened to season 1, or for those of you that are new, I've been able to be far more present in the last couple of years of my life than I had been for my entire adult life. So well over 20 years into my adult life, this is definitely the most present person or version of me that's ever existed. But it wasn't overnight, and it takes a conscious effort to kind of sustain presence. And so the first thing I would tell you that is an absolute must for me was having clarity of identity. And you're probably thinking, what does that mean? And for 40 years of my life, or really, my adult life, 20 plus years, I had an identity within work. I had an identity as a father, as a husband. But if I really tried to answer the question, who am I? The reality is I couldn't answer that question. I can answer that question today with really great clarity. But if you don't know who you truly are, you don't have that clarity of identity, it's going to be very, very hard for you to live in the present, because you have to know who you are in here so you can be authentic with others. But it starts with yourself. So I would encourage you to figure out and ask yourself, and ask somebody that's really close to you, help you figure out who you are, what's important to you, what do you enjoy doing, what gives you passion, and how can you answer the question outside of your job, your function as a parent or as a partner. Who are you? Okay. The second thing, it would be around what I would call conscious awareness. And this means whenever you are, you've heard me talk about this before, be fully there. That means if you're in a conversation with someone, you're fully listening. You're listening deeply, you're engaging, you're eliminating distractions, and that's really hard to do, especially in today's world. If you have a smartwatch or all sorts of distractions, but all of those things are doing is taking you out of the present. And you're in a meeting, you look down at an email, and now you're thinking about the problem just came through there. Then you start realizing your stress goes up. And that's a direct result, not of what's happening or what you just read. It's a direct result of you leaving the present. And as you move further away from presence, the higher your stress level will go. At least that's how it's been for me. And so one of the things that I've learned to do over the last couple of years is to pause and reflect, even when I'm under pressure. And that's something that I always, I had to react. Something happened, I had to react. And now I'm far less reactive, and I pause, reflect, stay in the moment, and make a better, more informed decision. And that allows me to stay present, keep the stress low, and things roll off your back like a duck. It's the best way I can describe it. The third one is around consistency of behavior. And what does this mean is you show up in the same ways across many contexts. At work, maybe I certainly talk to people at work slightly differently than I talk to the way people I talk to outside of work. But I show up the same way. I'm speaking from my core, I'm very authentic. And you want to be able to do that as well. And that's going to be very important for you to do that, because the more inauthentic you are, the harder it is for you to remain present. And things like rituals, they really matter. So whenever I find myself leaving the present, one of the things we've talked about before is focusing on your breath. But more importantly, you can focus on gratitude. Somebody said the other day, if you crashed your car, that's really a bad thing, but it means you had a car to crash. And you can find gratitude in those moments and say, you know what? There's a lot of people that have to take the bus and would love a car. No, they don't want to be in a crash, and you probably didn't want to either. but you make a choice of what you want to find gratitude in, and having those daily rituals will help you stay consistently in the present. And the last thing that I really focus in on is energy management. And the best way I can describe this is you have to be protective of your energy. This means learning to say no. And I'm saying that as saying no with no remorse. You are an individual. You can only do so much. And sometimes you have to say, no, that's not something I can do at all. Or no, that's not something I can do right now, but maybe I can get to that at some other point. But as of right now, that's not an area that I can focus in on. So you have to protect your energy. That means, in some cases, walking away from certain people that don't bring anything positive to your life. And that can be very hard depending on that type of relationship. But if that's what you need to do in order to protect and manage your energy, then that's what's necessary in order to help you maintain presence. And the last thing I would say around that when it comes to energy management is you have to recover strategically. Like, what does that mean? Well, it means that presence is not a permanent state. It's something that you have to continually and train your mind to stay in a state of. I'm not perfect. I'm not present all day. There's never been a single day I've been on this planet where I've stayed present all day. And I think maybe in certain religions, maybe they, when they're trying to achieve enlightenment, maybe they've been able to do it, but I'm nowhere close. But it's not about me comparing myself to others or comparing yourself to others. It's about making progress every single day, and some days are going to be bad days, and that's okay. But if you follow those 4 things, at least that's what I've done. I have clarity in my identity. I know who I am. I communicate from my core. I'm very conscious. I have very conscious awareness, consistency of my behavior across many contexts, the daily rituals and so forth, and energy management. Combined, those things help me stay far more present today with far more stressors in my life than I've ever been able to do. And I hope you'll be able to do the same. I enjoy these conversations. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll try to answer those in later episodes of this season. But until then, have a wonderful day, morning, evening, and stay present.